Good afternoon. I am Mary O'Dwyer with Mary's Blue Door, and I just wanted to take a few minutes and come on here and just share with you some of the benefits, the physical benefits specifically of transformational breath. One of the reasons I love transformational breath is that it heals on many levels. It heals on the physical, the mental, emotional, and spiritual. So today I just want to touch a little bit on the physical benefits, because honestly, these are so amazing that if this was all that this work offered, I'd already be sold 1,000 times over. So the first benefit of doing this work is that when we learn to engage our diaphragm, which is the very basis and foundation of transformational breath, we actually get to fill up the lower lobes of the lungs with oxygen, which of course means that we're getting a bigger breath. But it also means that we're actually activating those receptors in the lungs that then send a physiological response to the brain, telling the brain to send out those relaxation, endorphins, and all of that good stuff. So that's what happens when we take a deep diaphragmatic breath. Now, when we move our diaphragm, it is, on the contraction, it actually is a muscle that just kind of flattens out. It runs along the base of our rib cage. And as it flattens out, it actually pushes on our abdomen. And this pushes all of our abdominal organs, and that's why our belly rises on the inhale. And when that happens, this, constant flattening and, contraction and relaxation of the diaphragm, this kind of creates a very massage-like movement in the stomach. And this actually massages our colon, massages the gut-associated lymph, and gets a lot of that stuff moving. Because our gut-associated lymph is actually the largest amount of lymph that we have in our body. That's the largest lymph area. Sometimes we think it's like the nose under our arms or in our groin, but it's actually in the gut-associated lymph. And the lymph system is the body's drainage system, trash system, and it does not have a pump. It requires us to pump it. That's why exercise is so important. That's why twisting and things like that are so important. That's why massage is so beneficial. But we get to give ourselves a little massage when we use our diaphragm, and especially in transformational breath, where we're breathing 25 breaths per minute approximately, which is almost twice what we normally breathe, because normally we breathe 12 to 15. So we're getting all of those benefits. Other benefits are just detoxification on a real deep cellular level, as well as getting that detox through movement in the colon and movement of the lymph. We're also getting a lot more oxygen CO2 exchange that's happening because of those additional breaths that are being brought in with every inhale when we're connecting our breaths in transformational breath. At the cellular level, the oxygen comes into the cell. It's released from the hemoglobin, which is the part of the protein in the red blood cells that actually carries the oxygen. That's why our blood gets bright red when it's oxygenated. And it actually releases that oxygen into the cells, and then it picks up any CO2 and other cellular debris and moves that out of the cells on the exhale. So actually, if you wake up in the morning and you've got really bad breath, that's a really good indicator that actually your body has been doing a lot of detox. So while it might not be the most attractive thing, it's a really good indicator that your body is detoxing really nicely. Other benefits are it has been shown to lower blood pressure. It has been known to help people in all sorts of different medical capacities. And there's a lot of information on that on the Transformational Breath website, which is transformationalbreath.com. You can check that out. There's also a physician she's Scottish, she works in the UK. Her name is Dr. Pippa Whebele, W-H-E-B-B-L-E. And she's actually starting to do some real research on the physiological effects that are happening in the body as we do a transformational breath session, which is pretty amazing. So that's kind of an emerging science. So I know there's a lot of you out there that maybe are skeptical, like, how can breathing deeply really help me and change me? And there is so many benefits to this, and a lot of them have been proven, but some of it is still in what we describe as an emerging science field. And you know, the Earth was round a long time before it was ever proved that it was round. There was gravity around a long time before gravity was ever proved. So we know that there's a lot of benefits, and just because there isn't right now tons of scientific documentation to back this up, we know that it's true. There's also a lot of information and research being done that you know, cancer cells cannot survive actually in the presence of oxygenation. When they're in a super oxygenated environment, those cancer cells do not thrive. And there was research done on this way back in the 30s, way back as far as the 30s, by a guy, Dr. Van Otto Warburg. And so he was the one who first started it. And that's when there's no oxygen, it's called an anaerobic system. So we know that oxygenating the body has a lot of different health benefits in terms of inflammation, lowering inflammation in the body, creating more of an alkali environment, because when we've got lack of oxygen, it tends to be a very acidic environment. The other benefit is obviously, I mentioned the relaxation. Scanning. Energy, that's the one that I wanted to talk about. Energy, that's the big one that we get from taking in lots of oxygen. You know, we get over 75% of our energy actually comes from the oxygen we breathe. We tend to maybe think more about the, you know, how we're fueling our body with food and drinks and all of that. And while that is important, you know, my health and fitness, anybody who knows me knows that I'm all about eating well. That is a really important part of the equation, but it's not the only part. It's the oxygen we breathe and how we're breathing and how much oxygen we're getting in that really is going to impact our energy levels. Most of us are only walking around using 20 to 30% of our oxygen capacity. 20 to 30%. So even when you do take a deep breath or do some pranayama or do some other regulatory breaths that help to calm the mind or calm the body, you're only getting 20 to 30% of the potential benefits. So one of the first things that we do in transformational breath, when I have a client walk in the door, is I have them lay down. I'm going to look at exactly how they're breathing. I'm going to look and see, hey, are you using your diaphragm? And if you're not using your diaphragm, I'm going to then find the best body position for you today so that you can get the biggest diaphragmatic breath that you can. And that might involve, you know, sitting you up, bending your knees, laying on you on your belly, doing whatever needs to be done in order for you to physically take in the biggest breath that you can. Physically, what I'm also looking at is I'm looking to see where in your body are you, maybe there isn't a lot of movement. Maybe there's some restriction or constriction of your breath. Maybe there's not a lot of movement in the low belly. Maybe there's not a lot of movement in the upper chest area. Maybe there's not a lot of movement in the middle. I'm just looking to see where your respiratory capacity has been impacted and restricted. And then again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe use a body position to help you relax that and open that more. I'm going to be checking for tight spots, tension spots, because I can look at somebody who's breathing. You know, you don't need to be an expert to see that, you know, if I've got my shoulders like this, that I'm holding a lot of tension here and that this is going to have a negative impact on how well I can breathe. So I'm going to look at your body and get it to relax as much as we can. I'm going to be physically checking for tight spots, little knots where you've kind of held on to stuff. And I'll talk more about that next week when we talk about the mental and emotional benefits of transformational breath. But we have these little tight spots that we've, you know, restricted the muscles over time. And by touching these and allowing them to release, kind of like the way a masseuse would do in a massage, that opens up the muscles so that they can relax and actually allows your respiratory system to take a bigger, fuller breath, okay? So that's kind of the physical benefits of this work. I wanted to touch on all of those, touch on physically what we're doing in a session, what I'm looking for. And the benefits to you, you know, after you walk out, even after one session, is a lot of people, they're simply taking a bigger breath. They may not notice all of the other stuff immediately. They're generally, people are going to feel lighter. They're going to feel more energized. But I know that they're going to walk out the door and they are going to be able to take a bigger breath. So every breath they take for the rest of the day, for the rest of that week, is going to be positively impacted by the 90 minutes that they spent with me. Also, a cute story. So I recently went to Orange Theory Fitness. A friend of mine is a trainer there, and I wanted to support her, and so I thought I would check out the class. And I don't do a lot of vigorous workouts anymore. I tend to do 20 to 30 minutes of yoga, 20 to 30 minutes of walking, and occasional runs. Occasionally I'll do, longer hikes as well, but I don't do rigorous, cardio, weight, high intensity workouts. In Orange Theory, their whole workout is built around monitoring your heart rate. So they give you a heart rate monitor, and they show it on the screen. Well, looking at my results after that class, you would think I was the fittest person in that class. I was not. But just my heart was not having to work as hard as everybody else's in order to get the oxygen I needed to do the workout. It kind of blew my mind. It was the first time I had seen my respiratory capacity reflected back at me in that way. Now my muscles bugged out because I wasn't super fit and having done a lot of those exercises in a long time. But it really blew me away how much quicker I recovered. After our heart rate had spiked, I would recover way faster than anybody else. And also it would take me a little bit longer to get to that spike, just because, even though I felt like I was dying because my muscles were screaming at me, but just because my heart is so, or my oxygen, I'm taking in so much that my heart does not have to pump as hard to get the big oxygen intake compared to most of the other people in my class. So I thought that was kind of neat to see that, and like the science part of me was fed by seeing that. Anyhow, that's all I wanted to share for today. Hopefully I will see you back next week, and I will share with you the mental and emotional benefits of this work, which is the real, life-changing part of it. I think, for me anyhow, that was the biggest impact for me. So thanks, Jackie. Yes, it is pretty cool. I've also just, I want you to share too, that if you have physical issues with your breath, I've worked with people with emphysema, people with COPD, people with asthma, people on inhalers, and these people have seen big improvements in the ease of their breath, in their respiratory capacity. So, if you're sick and like, oh, I shouldn't come because, I've got a head cold or I'm having breathing difficulties today, that's the perfect time to come. So don't be shy. Come join me tonight if you want. I'm doing a class at my house at 9 o'clock. I'll also be at the Temecula Yoga Collective this Saturday night at 6 p.m. if you want to join me there. As always, you can just check out my website or call me, message me, and get more information. I will leave that in the comments so that you can check out those links. All right, take care and have a happy Wednesday. Bye-bye.